Welcome to the Pennine Dragway at York for round one of the Ultimate Street Bike Series. The York venue is undoubtedly one of the most popular, especially with the northern riders. This year, the Ultimate Street Bike Series has ACU approval and benefits from a sponsorship package negotiated with EBC Brakes, Metzler Tyres, Toaster Tuning Shop, Pirelli Tyres, Rapier Racing, Harris, Goodrich and the Motorcycle Association. What this early April venue gives many of us is our first chance to see what's been taking shape in those lock-up garages in those long winter evenings. Stretched, lowered, lightened and tuned in an attempt to knock another tenth of a second from those personal best times. And right from the start, Suzukis were showing their popularity and potential. Craig Ashton on his GSX-R 1100 was back where he left off last year, straight into low tens with what looks like a stock R. Also on an 1100R, Gary Kenley was running 10.2s with 140 miles per hour terminals. The bike seeming to have the perfect balance of power for the York strip. Talking of power, someone with an abundance of brake horsepower coming from his big block GSX was Tony Arnold, wheeling his way to a best of 10.33 at 140 miles per hour. Mention Taylor and most people think of Ken Taylor on his Turbo Suzuki. But this time it's Keith Taylor on his immaculate GS 750 making the news with this incredible 9.98 second run at 136 miles per hour, going straight to the top of the leaderboard, a position he was to hold most of the day. Old campaigner Bill Hunter on his Spondon Turbo, with a 9.5 second run to his credit at Santapod earlier in the year, was having traction problems at York. In fact, the problem was so bad, Bill was struggling to reach the tens. Special builder extraordinaire Steve Burns was on his latest creation, a Spondon GSX-R 1260, a machine definitely more suited to the Isle of Man than York Raceway. But Steve still managed a 10.49 second run at 140 miles per hour. Another special which had the cameras clicking was Tez Goodwin's Harris 900 Kawasaki. Immaculately prepared, but sadly not running as quickly as the Suzuki's. But then, what was? Upholding some Kawasaki honour, Richard Prosser on his GPZ 1260, sporting Trev's nitrous oxide injection, ran a best of 10.64 seconds at 129 miles per hour. While hard-charging Edinburgh's very own Ron Russell, also running in the nitrous class, ran a best ever time of 10.37 seconds at 133 miles per hour. Could we see a 9-second pass by the end of the series from this very streetable Suzuki? The two-stroke boys were having a high old time at York. With the return of Rod Spry, we were to see a stroker in the tens again. But as ever, the battle royal was on again between Bill Calcutt and John Kuhn on their 750 Kettles. On this occasion, John was the quicker with an 1152 at 121 miles per hour. But wait for it, Lum Goodall on his RD 350 LC posted the quickest two-stroke time of the meeting, a run of 11.35 at 125 miles per hour. Look out, you turbo boys. York, as usual, offered the very best in crowd entertainment, with demonstration runs from V&M Racing, Team Suzuki's Phil Mellor on the Suzuki GB GSX-R 750, turning his hand to drag racing. And after getting used to the lights, he turned some credible low 11-second passes. Not bad for a road racer. We literally caught a glimpse of the LA Hooker on one of its famous rolling burnouts. Chris Hampson showed off his new funny bike for the 1988 season. And just in case you hadn't heard, Gary Scholes and some colleagues from the West Yorkshire Police put in runs all day long to raise sponsorship money for the Great Ormond Street Hospital. And with donations and a raffle, raised in excess of £1,500 for the charity. Back with the Ultimate Street Bike, and Keith Taylor's early lead was about to tumble as John Boy Messenger arrived on his awesome 1100E. John clung on and headed for a 9.97 second run at 144 miles per hour to give us the second 9-second run of the weekend. On yet another low-slung 1100E was Carl Hindle, chasing the leaders with his very creditable 10.44 at 133 miles per hour to give him 10th spot. With the top slots going to normally aspirated machines, the highest placed turbos were those of Ian Thomas on his black and gold Katana in 19th place with a 10.82 at 138 mile per hour run, and Chris Easter on his Kawasaki Turbo close behind in 20th place. Riding a Kawasaki Factory 750 Turbo, Trevor Sanders stormed to an 11.07 run at 128 miles per hour to secure 33rd place. With all these mentions of Suzuki's and Kawasaki's, let's not forget notable performances by Kevin Bannister on his FZR 1000 Yamaha and Michael Bloomer on a CB900, improving on last year's York times by nearly a quarter of a second. In the 4-stroke twin class, Bob Cornforth's Triton took top honours, while Howie on his XLH 1000 Harley-Davidson broke the noise barrier. I said noise barrier, not sound barrier, with his 14.61 second run at 88 mile per hour. The Trendy Dress Award must go to David Dawson on his RD 250LC, sporting the latest in design and knitwear. Personally, I still prefer the Superbike t-shirts. Straight off the Yorkshire moors, Bradley Davison and Tony Wright were putting their novelist to test on the Portland Strip. Tony recorded a best of 14.25 at 88 miles per hour. And what ultimate street bike round would be complete without its wheelie? Mark Holroyd on his CBX 1000 Honda thrilled the crowd with some near vertical passes. The racing continued fast and furious until 3 p.m, when another first for York took place. A full 16 bike eliminator contest for the 16 fastest bikes of the day. Once again, the turbos were not faring well against the normally aspirated bikes. After a hectic series of knockout races, Gary Kenley on his GSXR 1100 finally downed Graham Dance in a close-fought race. Eliminator over, we were back with the ultimate street bike again. A late charge from Brian Emery on his 1100E saw him in 3rd place with a run just outside the 9s at 144 miles per hour. Definitely a machine to watch out for in future rounds. Good weather, good crowds, good racing. What more could we ask for the first round of this year's Ultimate Street Bike? The result: John Messenger hanging on to his slender lead from second man Keith Taylor on his GS 750, 3rd Brian Emery on his abundantly powerful Suzuki, and 4th Gary Kenley on his GSXR 1100 Suzuki.